Good afternoon. During the lunch today, we will be discussing the issue of smart infrastructure and the importance of broadband deployment in all of our cities. Some things to keep in mind as we begin our discussion. The United States is now number 15 in the world in broadband deployment. Korea, Japan, Canada, Spain, and Poland all surpass us in providing their citizens with access to the digital world. As a nation, we have to address our ability to compete in the global economy, a digital economy. In 10 years, 70% of all jobs will require technology knowledge and skills. Cities must address digital inclusion aggressively and consistently, and we must take serious steps to create the technical infrastructure and a digitally capable workforce. During the last several years, cities have entered into partnerships with the private sector to provide broadband or wireless infrastructures in their communities. Many of these attempts have largely failed because there have been challenges with the financial models. And that was before we entered this economic downturn. The good news is that now we have partners in Congress and in the new administration. The economic recovery plan of both the House and President-elect Obama addresses the need to provide wide broadband access to our citizens by proposing a $6 billion investment in broadband and wireless services in underserved areas. In Miami, we have worked for the last 6 years to provide both infrastructure and digital literacy programs. Elevate Miami is a comprehensive, lifelong approach focused on the accessibility and affordability of technology and training for our youth, adults, senior citizens, and small businesses. The initiative encompasses e-parks and e-senior computer labs, the Rites of Passage initiative with our public schools and workforce training. With the support of the Knight Foundation, over time, this program will put a computer in each and every single home in our city. We have also been working with the Knight Center of Digital Excellence for the past year on a community broadband project that will bring together Miami's government, business, education, healthcare, and nonprofit organizations to create a plan to address community broadband, both in infrastructure as well as digital skills. Today's discussion will showcase new models for public interest broadband projects that can strengthen communities and revitalize the economy. When I first thought of this luncheon today, and when I looked back at the efforts that we had all undertaken in terms of developing ready-to-go projects, and as we saw the statements, the consistent statements by the President-elect about the need for broadband deployment, about the need for infrastructure projects that can make America globally competitive in the years to come. And then, of course, when we saw the fact that actually $6 billion had been put in the economic recovery effort, for this effort, I thought that it was very timely and very appropriate for us to discuss this subject and to hear about this subject during today's lunch. Because if we're going to be true to our motto that these are ready-to-go projects, we need to be ready to make sure that when this money is available, that in this area of broadband deployment and infrastructure, that in this area, cities are also ready. So we can show Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel and the President-elect and all concerned that we're ready to go and ready to create projects, and projects that, again, are projects that are generational for this country. We are joined today by a very good friend of mine, Alberto Ibargüen, who is the President and CEO of the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation. The Knight Foundation in partnership with One Community, formed the Knight Center on Digital Excellence, the first national nonprofit resource center dedicated to helping communities create sustainable universal access programs. I am especially grateful to the Knight Foundation, as I'm sure some of my other colleagues are, for their partnership and the investments that they have made in our community to help Miami in our parks, in our arts and cultural world, in our financial literacy, and certainly in this area, all of which continue to help make us a more globally competitive city.